Imagine this, you're scrolling through Steam, looking for something new to play. Nothing stands out until your eye catches a small grim-looking indie game titled Fear and Hunger. Interesting name, you think, maybe it's a unique experience, something to pass the time. You weren't prepared. You launch the game. The title screen greets you with an eerie, unsettling music. You pick one of the 4 starting characters and you begin. After a short intro, you get thrown into the world of fear and hunger. At first, everything seems manageable. You walk, you explore, you loot, and then you hear it barking. You brush it off, probably just ambient noise. You keep searching for supplies until they arrive. The hounds are here. Still, you're very confident. They're just dogs, you think. First enemy of the game, this will be very easy. You swing your weapon, you miss, and then you get mauled to death. This game doesn't ease you in, it doesn't teach you how to play. It throws you into a pit of spikes and asks you to survive. So you try again, you rush through the early areas, loot what you can, hide inside a room, exhale in relief, and then you hear it again, barking. The hounds have returned, and once more you get torn apart. You must be doing something wrong, so you try again and again and again until eventually you manage to slip past the beast and delve deeper into the dungeon. It's quiet now, too quiet. No music, just dripping stone and darkness. You creep through the corridors finding a few supplies. Maybe the hounds were an one-time thing, maybe you can grind and survive. You press forward, then you come face to face with him. Deformed guard, a grotesque lever-wielding monstrosity. You fight back, you land a body blow, he retaliates, and just like that, your arm is now gone. He steps forward, the game prompts you, heads or tails? You pick heads, the coin flips, it's tails, you get beaten, the screen fades to black, you wake up with one arm, no legs. You're surrounded by corpses crawling helplessly through a pit of flesh, and then the lizard man finds you. He walks up on you, slices off the last of your arm. You can't fight, you can't move, and just like this, he ends you with a final brutal blow. This is fear and hunger. But it's not over yet. You get kidnapped and get your skin torn off while still alive, just crawling in excruciating pain while you take your last breath. This is what most players experience when they first play Fear and Hunger. Unlike other games, it doesn't care about you, it doesn't explain itself. No tutorials, no guiding hand, just pain. You're thrown in a world designed to break you again and again until you either adapt or quit. And you may do quit. You play once, maybe twice, and then you walk away. It's too hard, too unfair, too cruel. And you're not wrong, but for those who don't give up, for those who endure, there's something buried deep within Fear and Hunger. It's one of the most unique and harrowing experiences in all of gaming. The more you play, the more you begin to understand. This isn't about leveling up, it's not about getting stronger, it's about knowledge and it's about survival. Every death teaches you something, a trap to avoid, a door not to open, an enemy not to fight, and slowly you begin to learn the rules of this world. Yes, it's similar to games like Dark Souls in that way, but Fear and Hunger goes further. It punishes you not only for failure, but even for success. You can win a fight, but at what cost? You might kill the enemy but lose an arm, or get infected, or bleed out 2 rooms later. And remember, limbs, they don't grow back, not unless, well, you marry a certain someone. That's all I'm going to say about this. Lose both your arms, you'll never hold a weapon again. You lose your legs, you will crawl through the rest of the game, slow, helpless, and vulnerable. If you're still determined to push forward, you quickly notice something else. Combat doesn't reward you. No XP, no gold, loot, rare and often useless. There's no leveling system, no stat progression, and there's no incentive to fight, not really. And that's when it hits you. This isn't a traditional RPG, this is a survival horror. Fighting is a last resort. So after dying to the hounds and guards again and again, you try a different approach. You notice another entrance off to the left. You take it. It's dark. You light your torch and descend. Strangely, the hounds don't follow you here. This becomes your new path. You open a wooden door and enter a quiet, abandoned basement. You find some herbs, a ritual circle drawn in the dirt. You move closer, and from the shadows, it emerges. The Maneba, a grotesque tentacle-like creature with a bulbous head and bulging, lifeless eyes. But unlike the hounds or the guards, this one is slow. You can easily evade it, and that's when you learn another lesson. Not everything in this dungeon is a fight. Sometimes avoidance is survival. You sneak past, you loot containers, you gather scraps of food, then you find a piece of armor. You go to claim it, and the game stops you. Heads or tails? You sigh, you know what this means. You choose, you lose, the armor fades, you get nothing in return. Yes, Fear and Hunger is randomized. Item spawns, enemy placement, events, everything is at the mercy of RNG. If your luck is bad, your run will be brutal. If your luck is good, it will still be brutal but slightly better. Every item matters, every resource has value. You make do with what little the game gives you. Eventually you exit the basement and find yourself in a much larger area. Boxes are scattered all around. You loot what you can, then you find it. A room, a bed. It's strange, out of place. You approach, you interact, and it gives you an option. Rest. You press it. Another option appears. Save. Yes, finally, after all the deaths, all the suffering, all the hopelessness, you can finally save your progress. In most games, saving is a simple click away. In Fear and Hunger, it must be earned, and when you do, the feeling is overwhelming. Not joy, not relief, but the quiet, bitter satisfaction of simply surviving another day in hell. With a save point secured, you start pushing deeper. Progress feels more real now. As you explore the next room, you come face to face with a towering armor monstrosity. Instinct tells you not to fight, and you're right, it's slow enough to evade, but it's a terrifying reminder this place isn't really safe. Shortly after you meet your first human, Sir Seymour. Given how cruel the game has been so far, your first instinct might be suspicion, but surprisingly, Sir Seymour is genuine. He's here searching for his missing captain. It's a small moment of humanity, a rare glimmer of hope in this place defined by suffering. You continue into the jail section of the dungeon. It's filled with guards, locked cells, and a strange flying creature. The flying creatures are easy enough to avoid or kill if you want to, but the guards are different. On your first playthrough, avoiding all combat is almost impossible, especially when you run into the crossbow wielding one. He fires from afar, and sometimes the only way forward is to fight him. And this is where you start to experiment. By now you probably noticed you can target body parts. Most new players aim straight for the head. Seems logical, right? But in Fear and Hunger, headshots miss most of the time. And missing means your enemy has time to slice off one of your limbs permanently. The smarter play, go for the arms. Disabling a limb stops your enemy from swinging a weapon, or in this case firing that crossbow. Cut both arms and he can harm you with his most damaging attacks. But even then, he can still attempt that dreaded coin flip attack, an insta-kill if you fail the toss. Most players don't realize it because the game doesn't really tell you anyway, but you can guard against the coin flips. If you see a message like the stinger is pulsating, that's your warning. The game won't tell you this outright. You can either figure out through trial and error or dig through obscure forums. But once you recognize the signs, you learn to guard at the right moment and survive. If you manage to disable the enemy's legs, they will collapse, leaving their head exposed, and this time a headshot won't miss. The combat starts to feel less like luck and more like a grim strategic dance. It's brutal, yes, but not random. You're learning, adapting. After defeating the guard, you continue exploring, and then it happens. You step in Energy dictates how much you will find. Let the hunger meter climb too high and your character becomes severely weakened. At first it just reduces stats like max health, but it escalates to paralysis, blindness and eventually death. It's manageable when you're alone, but later you will gather party members. That's when rationing becomes a nightmare. You will need to carefully split your supplies, plan your routes, and hopefully you find enough to survive. So yes, the learning every fear and hunger is cruel, but if you stay with it, you adapt, you start to overcome. Eventually the dungeon doesn't feel impossible anymore. It feels like something you can conquer, not through brute strength, but through careful planning, clever thinking, and sheer determination. That's what makes Fear and Hunger unforgettable in my opinion. After suffering through the brutal opening hours, something begins to shift. You start to adapt. The labyrinth that once felt impossible slowly becomes familiar. You memorize the map's twists and turns, you know which enemies to avoid and which supplies to grab. Fear and Hunger rewards suffering with knowledge, each death carving a new lesson for you. I should also say this, it's best not to spoil the experience for yourself. Don't look up guides, don't watch walkthroughs. This game's satisfaction comes from discovering its secrets alone, even if it means dozens of deaths. That's how Fear and Hunger wants to be played. As your mastery grows, the dungeon deepens, and depending on the character you choose at the start, your motivations will be different. Darcy searching for Captain Legard, the man who defines her duty and honor, Kahara driven by death and the dream of freedom for his wife and child, Enki seeking forbidden knowledge, and Ragnvald, whose every step drips with vengeance for the massacre of his family. Each story spirals towards Legard, a figure who becomes a dark star pulling all fates into his orbit. The further you go, the stranger things become. Deep below you encounter a peculiar man in an elegant suit, his face hidden behind a cat mask. He calls himself Pocket Cat and he's a merchant. He doesn't want your gold though, what he trades is children, yes, actual children. If you found a little girl wandering in the dungeon, you already know what that means. Most players won't even consider it, but if you do, he offers some of the strongest items in the game. It's one of Fear's and Hunger's most disturbing temptations. Will you trade innocence for survival? Deeper still, the minds await. Here the true cruelty of the game blooms. Ghosts, mutant, the dead and the half-dead stalk the tunnels. And then there are the yellow mages, flesh-wrapped sorcerers who with a single glow can rip a limb from your body before you even realize what happened. At first they feel unbeatable, but like everything else in Fear and Hunger, there is a method. You simply have to die enough times to learn it. Eventually you will understand that you can just be either really quick and get past them, or be quick again and fight them and kill them. They're not hard to beat, and this is the best choice in my opinion. By now though, you're not alone. Through careful choices you can recruit other characters into your party. They bring their own skills and their own burdens. Companions change everything. Fights that once guaranteed death can be dismantled with teamwork. Arms severed, legs broken, enemies crippled before they have a chance to retaliate. Each character has a unique strength. Kahara's is lockpicking, Enki's necromancy, Ragnvald's his unusual hungers that enables him to eat his enemies after killing them, which eliminates the hunger problem. But survival with companions comes at a cost. More mouths to feed, more minds to preserve. Essentially, you will have to be really careful what resources you use for your characters. You have to ration the food, you have to ration your herbs, you have to be careful with your healing items, you have to find bandages, so you have to be really careful how you manage your supplies. Eventually, your path leads to the Dweller Village, a hauntingly quiet settlement. The locals are passive unless provoked, and for a brief moment it almost feels safe. But this reprieve is temporary because the real destination lies just beyond Mahabre. Mahabre is a place of false warmth. At first it feels like salvation. Sunlight filters down, music soothes your nerves, you could almost believe you've escaped the nightmare. But the truth is crueler. Mahabre is one of the most dangerous places in the game. Here the story swells. Religions, class and revelations scroll into the light. Here you will face the most pivotal bosses and you will carve your own ending. Mahabre even contains the game's only true save point. A cruel tease of stability before the final plunge. Depending on your choices, you may be drawn to the enormous hill door at the city's heart. To open it, 4 powerful beings must be felled, and only then you will be able to glimpse the game's climax. I won't spoil what lies beyond, it's something you should suffer through and uncover for yourself, but this much I will say. Macabre isn't just another area, it's where Fear and Hunger bears its soul and inspiration from Berserk, its meditations of faith and power and despair. It's also where the game sprawls into dozens possible endings, shaped by your party, your survival and mercy or your lack of it. And if the normal game wasn't enough, harder modes twist the knife deeper. Terran Survivors alter the story and ending. Hard mode, stripping away all saving, forces you to claw your way through in one unbroken nightmare, but only there you can uncover every character's S ending. Each one is really cool, so if you really like the game, I suggest trying to do the S endings. I have done 3 of them so far, and I have left the most difficult ones for last. That brings us to the end of the journey. I could say more about the game, go into detail about bosses and how the story develops, but this video is for me to recommend essentially Fear and Hunger and give you a sneak peek, so to say, into how the game is, so you can try it for yourself. After this video I will do a more in-depth guide, not guide, but any more in-depth video for the game. So if you have watched so far, thank you so much, it means a lot to me, and stay tuned for more videos about Fear and Hunger and games. Have a nice day, see ya.